Make sure you stick around until the end to see how you can win free gear and products. Hey, this is PJ with CLK Supplies, and I am here in Moses Lake, Washington, and I am really excited to introduce you to my friend Eric with Jim's Locksmithing Service. Eric, well, hey, thanks for taking the time to sit down with me here and kind of talk about your story a little bit.
Yeah, great to be here.
So if you could so we've known each other for a long time, right?
Yeah, a very long time.
Probably all the way back 2005-ish.
Yeah, I think we met at a CBLA meeting or something.
Yep.
Well, picnics.
Yep.
Yeah.
Many years ago. And you know, it's been fun watching everything happening here at Jim's Locksmithing Service, and I am honestly super excited to share it with everybody.
Yeah, no, this is going to be fun.
So if you could just tell us a little bit about, like, how did you get into locksmithing and how long have you been locksmithing for?
I've been doing it for about 22 years is kind of what I figured out yesterday. I knew absolutely nothing, and it was a good thing. I actually sort of found out later. But I got into it because I just hated my other job. That was plain and simple. Jim was hiring, and he's like, I'll hire you. I'm like, okay, fine. I have no idea what I'm doing. So that was it. It was pretty simple. I remember I took a big pay cut, but I was like, if I enjoy the job, I wouldn't care. So that was my biggest thing. I really hated working for bosses who yelled at you and everything, and Jim was pretty low-key, so that was nice.
Okay.
And then after he hired me up, we probably got one of the biggest contracts right after that, and we worked for Breaking Genie over here and spent 3 months sitting at a desk pinning up all the cores and all the cylinders for the place. It was all Medeco.
Really?
Biax. Oh, it's a nightmare. I really hated it, but I got 3 raises out of it, so I didn't really mind it at the end of it. Yeah. So it was a good thing.
Yeah, so let's talk about the learning curve for a minute. So you knew nothing, you get into locksmithing. I mean, it sounds like you really got thrown into the fire.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How was it? Now, I mean, I want to preface this with saying that, you know, I think you're an expert locksmith. I know the type of work you do. You do a lot of work.
Yeah.
But how was it getting to learn the trade? Did you find it difficult? Was it pretty easy?
Parts of it were easy. I mean, I guess I'm mechanically inclined. I like figuring how things work. So when something was broken, on a car door lock or something, I could usually figure something out pretty easily, but then I go to impression a key and it takes me 2 days to make a key. And that was the honest truth. Yep. The first one I impressioned was a Ford 5-pin tumbler lock. I hated the thing, but I figured it out. It got done, and then I just kind of, I had a hard time on when I would do it the first time. But as soon as I can get through, like your first GM column, you're tearing it down, took me, I think, 2 hours. But after that, I learned little tricks and learned little things, and pretty soon, half an hour, and I'm in and out of that car.
Okay.
So I just had to see it done or do it once, and then pretty soon you started figuring out, oh, this is better if I do this, and you just figure out your mistakes because you do plenty of them when you're new.
Sure. So some stuff was kind of easy, other stuff was a little difficult, but how long would you say it took before you considered yourself, like, you know, when you get a call on a job to go do, even if you hadn't necessarily done it before, you felt like you had confidence that you could figure it out? Like, how much time did that take, would you say?
For me, it was a little bit quicker because one of my bosses, because there was a partnership, he got injured about 9 months in and he had to be out. So I was thrown into a van within 9 months, and I didn't have the car opening experience at all. Because like 3 of those months I was sit behind a desk pinning up all those medical cylinders, so I really had no clue. Then I went into, I got tossed into IC core stuff, which I had no clue of what I was doing. So I had to kind of figure it out, and they would teach me, but the problem is you got to have it sink into your brain. If you don't really understand it, it just takes you a lot longer. So I probably, after about 2 years, I was feeling really comfortable about anything that I was working on, because I had to figure it out. I didn't have someone to back me up. Okay. Even when I had problems, my boss would be like, sorry, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, part of that's the cold, hard reality of just reality, right?
Yeah. I didn't like that kind of way of learning, so anytime that we had someone else came in and teach, I go, this is how I was taught. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm going to teach you a way that I like to be taught. I go, I'm going to show you how to do it. And that way, second time, third time, fourth time, they may call me for a question, but it's the learning curve's so much shorter, and life's just, I mean, that's I kind of, when I started doing everything around here, Jim would be teaching some people, but when I was teaching them, I said, in 5 years, you're going to be bad at your job. And the biggest reason why for over here is we have stuff, I've seen cars in the 1900s all the way up to 2022 now, and I see buildings that were dated back into the 30s. Original equipment.
Wow.
And I'm just like, you can't teach that. I mean, you're just not going to be able to tell somebody how to work on something from the 1930s. You're just kind of shaking your head, looking at it, going, this is going to be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And annoying, but I liked it. And so every time things came up or crazy stuff happened, I would always try to give them some kind of information to be able to help them get through this stuff. So
sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now, when it comes to the work that you do as a locksmith, now you're a full-service locksmith.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're doing residential, commercial, automotive, right?
Yeah.
Doing all of it.
All of it.
How is it in 2021 to be a full-service locksmith? I mean, it's something that, I mean, it definitely still exists and it's still out there, but you're seeing a lot, kind of like a split where people are getting really heavy into automotive, or they're getting really heavy into residential or commercial, or maybe both.
Yeah.
How has it been in 2020, or 2021 as a full-service locksmith?
I'd say it is chaos. It's the easiest. We work on residential around here because we got a lot of houses. I work on commercial because half the time the people who are buying the houses have a business or something. And I've learned that if you treat the people nice who own the house, then you get into their business, and then it just has this domino effect in this town. So you gotta have to do all of it. Industrial stuff, you gotta be willing to work on everything that you possibly can, because I don't get into, I would say, like a lot of the low voltage or having to run wires, and because I just don't have the time to have somebody learn everything they need to do. I mean, I can do pieces of it, but for the commercial industrial stuff, I feel it's like you can't do one without the other, just because it just seems to fold together. I do someone's house, they own a business, and their business, they have a friend who has a business, and then all of a sudden you're getting into a factory that I mean, and around here, you don't turn down anything, because you never know when, when you have a good reputation in this town, it keeps you going. But you get a bad reputation or something happens, and it'll crush you in this little town. And I work really hard to keep that going, because I've seen other people go through problems, and I hate to see what it's done to their business. I mean, they just lost everything because they weren't nice to people, or they had some bad instance happen, and I hate seeing that. So
sure.
Hey.
There he is.
Hey, PJ, how you doing?
Good, how are you? So Eric, I have to ask, how do you handle customer provided keys? Someone brings you some random key, automotive, or maybe it's to their safe, whatever it might be, and they want you to cut it. What do you do?
I cut it.
You cut it?
And I cut it at full price.
At full price. So if that key was $10, if they bought it from you, you charge $10.
Usually 10. Yeah. I mean, I would say like a Sidewinder key here, regular non-transponder one, we charge $40. Someone brings one in, I tell them it's $40 to cut it. Okay. I have double-sided, single-sided. It doesn't really bother me. If it's a really expensive key and it's just like a double-sided, I just treat it like a double-sided. But I don't if they have a problem with it, I go, that's fine. You don't have to buy it here. Or you don't have to cut it here. But I really don't have any problem with that. And so far, no one's really said much to me about it. So
okay, just pay it, and and I think a lot of times it's easy to like take it personal that they didn't buy the key from you per se. But I think overall, people aren't like experts into the lock and key space. They just found a key, they bought it, and they just need someone to cut it.
And that's kind of how I feel. I know like Ford and Honda, they're like, oh, we can't touch that. And I'm like, man, bring it here. I don't care. I don't hold it against them, but I charge them for it. And then if it messes up, I also warn them. I go, I can't guarantee this is going to work. You bought it online. You got to deal with the problems. And then if they have a problem, I go, I can bring one in for you, and this is what it'll cost you. And sometimes people do it, and sometimes they don't. But the bottom line is every single time they're coming back to me because it works. And that's just the bottom line. I have no problem spending or doing that kind of thing. It actually makes me more money. So yeah. And as long as they're not complaining about it, I'm gonna keep going with it.
Absolutely. Now, when it comes to advertising, earlier you talked about the size of Moses Lake. What's the rough population around here of your service area?
Well, my service area is not Moses Lake. It's population of Moses Lake is about 22,000 plus or minus a few hundred. I run a radius of about 100 miles.
Okay, wow.
I have done jobs that have gone all the way as far east into just about to the border of Idaho. I've done jobs that go up to Omak, which is about 50 miles away from Canada.
Okay.
And I've actually done a few jobs in Oregon.
Wow.
So when people tell me, it's like, do you go out that far? I go, no, it's how much do you want to pay? Because if you don't want to pay, then I won't go. But if you say yes to this, all right. I actually had one corporation call me up, and they begged me to go to Oregon, and it was just over the border a little bit. And I'm like, it won't be until next Thursday. They're like, I'll take it. I don't care. I can't get anybody to go. And I'm like, all right, fine. And it was a 15-minute job.
Wow. Awesome. But so as far as advertising goes, what is your kind of philosophy behind advertising?
Try to do as much as you can afford, or I kind of went off of what Jim did before, because he had the phone books, because he's very old school, which works great for about half the town. This town there's a lot of people here who like the old phone book, but then I also saw that he did a little bit online, which I've expanded that a little bit more, because I wanted to because that's what 99% of the people look on, is their phone, hit the thing and search for you. So I've still done the phone book, but I try to pare it back just a little bit on the cost, because some of these phone books are incredibly expensive. And then for the ones online, it's just kind of plain how much money you put into it versus how much they actually produce. So I'm still messing with it, but I'll go online quite a bit, and I use the free ones. I'm on Facebook, Google Business. I'm on Yelp, which I'm actually paying a little bit for that one. Okay. But I'm on everything that you can get for free and putting pictures out there, and I didn't really do it for advertisement. I actually had a company call me up, go, how do I know you're legitimate? You're a real locksmith. And I was like, that's a good question, because they were back east and they wanted to hire us for a job, which they did. But they're like, I don't know who you are. I can't see anything about you online. So after that, I started up a Facebook page, which we didn't do much with, but it at least proved that we were real, not one of these scam artists that are out there. Because I got it after that, and pretty soon I just kind of built up everything, because everything online, Jim didn't care. He just didn't want to spend money. So anything free, he was good for.
Sure. Why not?
And I've been, like I said, I've been spending a little bit more online just to try to get the name out there, because we're pretty much the only game in Moses Lake now. But at the same time, I know how much it means to have those people saying nice things about you. It makes the customer feel better about you, especially the out-of-towner who's like, oh God, I hope this guy's not gonna rip me off or lie to me. Or I've heard horror stories. So I do it for them to be comfortable, and then they know that I'm legitimate, and also it throws out a good name everywhere out there, not just in Moses Lake or Ephrata or I mean, like I said, we got about a 100-mile radius, so
Yeah.
I'd like to keep everybody as happy as I can. It's never going to be perfect, but it's advertising's crazy for me.
Sure. Now, Eric, you have this retail location that we're sitting in right now, and then you also have vans to go out into the field. So how many total employees does Jim's Locksmithing Service have?
Well, I have 3 other guys. One of them doesn't do any locksmithing. He just does the paperwork now, which is well worth its money. I got 2 other employees that'll work out of a van, and I try to work out of a van as much as I can.
Now, as far as you having a retail location here and doing outside work, it's kind of become more of a trend. You're starting to see less and less retail locations pop up.
Yeah.
And my question is do you find having a retail location worth it?
Yes. And it's not because I make the most amount of money here. I actually usually make the least here at the office. Only once in a while does the shop actually pay for itself. It's having a customer who, it's like we have a few customers, they want to talk to your face. And yeah, you can come out and talk to them, but being able to walk into the office, see what we have, see who we are, and spend like an hour with them, because there's been some new customers. They walk in, and once they feel comfortable with you, then we're going out on their job site, and they're dropping thousands of dollars to fix this, repair this, and we say, well, it's going to take this. They don't argue, they don't quibble, they know we're good for it because they trust how everything that they saw in here showed that we were professional. So it's a compliment for those guys out there in the vans. It's just a really great way to be able to have someone come in and say, I need this, you look like you know what you're doing. Then you go out there, you get it done, and because of the shop, we make a ton of money out of those vans. But you wouldn't get that with the van. You wouldn't be able to, they'd see the van, it would look great, but seeing this, it just tells them that we have a lot, we can do a lot, and we can do even more for them. So I feel it's a huge compliment, and it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't pay for itself all the time.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the interesting part about the retail stores is you know, I think that's a common theme. It's like, if you were to measure the store based on its own sales and just look at it through that lens, it doesn't look necessarily great on paper. However, when you put a store in with or while having your service fleet out there, it actually brings in additional business. And that's where like the true the best part of having a retail store enters in. Yeah,
I'm a big believer in a retail store, because I've had probably the first week of 2019, I remember 5 customers walking in, and each one of them was looking for a new locksmith because there was one in town and they weren't happy. And because of that, we spent an hour probably with each customer, and then we spent the next 3 months taking care of their businesses, and it was a huge boom for our business, because after that, I mean, we were just doing everyday stuff, just keeping the maintenance up. But I mean, that happened probably after that, like once a month, twice a month. And if you have a new customer who's willing to spend a couple $1,000s new money a month, then that's huge for anybody.
Absolutely.
So
Eric, I want to talk about automotive.
Okay.
So while you're doing the residential, commercial, which I know you're really heavy into commercial SFIC cores, all of that kind of stuff, right? Which is a good story for another day. I want to talk about automotive as well, because automotive, for as long as you've been in the business, has changed a lot, and you've stuck with it.
Oh, yes.
Have you ever thought about not?
Not if I didn't want to make money. I knew it. I knew it was where the money was. I knew it. I didn't know if we could afford it. It was kind of how it came through. Automotive has, I mean, we started with VATs, which I hate to this day. But when transponders started coming in, I was like, what are these things? You know, like, whatever. It's 1 key, 2 key, 5 keys, 10 keys. And then you start realizing, we got a problem. We got to figure this thing out. So we tried to stay with it. And I remember the first time It was in this shop I saw an MVP magazine. It talked about it, and I was like, this is perfect. Because we never could make enough money off the NGS and the Chrysler one. I knew there was a number of them out there, and I was just like, we have too many vehicles out here. We could never afford it.
Yeah.
To have the Chevy and the Ford or
have all those like OEM tools.
Yeah, all those OEM tools were just, it wasn't worth it. But then I saw the MVP and I was like, pay per time you use it. I'm like, that's perfect. The thing came out, and finally one year we were just like, okay, let's bite the bullet, because we have the Gorge Amphitheater here, which brings in a ton of people from Canada. I probably work on more Canadian cars than most people do. It's weird. It's just what I have to work with. So, and I have to think about that. What they have in Canada is what, I mean, we're, I think, 6 hours away from Canada, but it is crazy when there is a difference in a Canadian car versus a United States car. It's just, there's some that are identical, and then they'll make a little note going, oh, this key's a little different on this car, and you're going, oh, great, that's what I have. What else? So, because of the Gorge is the biggest reason why we did it. 25,000 people show up. Enough people lose their keys. And one year, the year that we didn't have that machine, I remember trying to talk my boss into it. Just begging him for it. I knew it was going to hurt because it was $3,000 or better. And he was like, prove to me you have it. That'll be worth it. In 1 month, we had to turn down 5 jobs. And I was like, we're charging $300 plus each time. I go, it was some money.
Yeah.
And that was 1 month. I'm like, I think I can make this back. So we bought the machine, we started using it, had all sorts of learning curves that you had to figure out.
Sure.
But we started making some money, and what was really crazy was I took over in 2020, and I was debating getting the second machine. Because now I have the Pro, unlimited, Smart Pro, unlimited tokens. And then there was like a week where I swear every customer who came in, we asked them, please call, because we want to make sure the machine's here. Of course, it was out every single time that someone showed up.
Yeah.
And it was like 5 customers. But they eventually came back, but it was like, it'd be so much nicer to just get them done.
Yes.
And finally, I at the end of 2020, it was a good enough year. I bit the bullet, and I bought a second machine, a second Futura machine, and I have not regretted it. Yeah. There's been at least 6 or 7 times that I've counted. I'm like, okay, would we have been able to help this customer? No, the machine's out doing a job. Without this one, we wouldn't have made the money. And a lot of them are keys that they bring in.
Okay.
So it's not ones that I'm expecting to come in. So it's just, can you program my key? Sure. Cut it, program it, and all of a sudden I'm doing 5 cars a day. Sometimes I'm just, and that's just at the office. I'm just shaking my head going, this is weird. But past year and a half, 2 years, people are still buying it, still bringing it into us. So that's, yeah, we make some really good money off it, because I remember seeing one of your other videos about talking about buying a machine or having a machine, and I was like, I never thought a second machine would come in so handy, but and it hurt. I mean, it costs.
Yeah.
But that cost, the way it was, I looked at it as like, if I can get through the first year, after that, it's going to pay for itself, and I think it might actually pay for itself this year, just because how many people buy their key on Amazon or wherever, and I don't really care. Bring it in, program it. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, sell them one of ours. And either way, we make money.
Absolutely. That's absolutely great.
Yeah.
Well, Eric, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us and kind of talk about Jim's Locksmithing Service and your history in the industry. But something we've been alluding to quite a bit is that the name of the business is Jim's Locksmithing Service, and your name is Eric.
Yeah.
Yet you're the owner of the business. Yeah. So coming in part 2 next week, Eric and I are going to talk about how he is now the owner of Jim's Locksmithing Service. So Eric, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Thanks.
I'm guessing if you just watched this video that you work with locks and keys. And to us here at CLK Supplies, that makes you a lock boss. and we want to hook you up. Here's how it works. Throughout the week, we post videos on YouTube, like the one you just watched, and all you need to do is comment on the videos and include the hashtag LockBoss. When you do this, you're automatically entered in to win one of 5 free prizes that we give out each and every week. No purchase necessary. So if you're a LockBoss, join us each week to learn, grow, and win.